This is Dan from Pure Metal of Gods. I'm here with the legend himself, Tony Dolan, Demolition Man, and I'm here with Marc Jackson.
I don't know where he is, but he's there somewhere. Hey, Marc.
He's to your left. I'm at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Marc.
Did you say Marc's to my left and you're up my bottom? Okay, excellent.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, Marc, how did you get the gig with Venom Inc? I mean, how did Tony and Jeff get a hold of you?
Um, a long time ago, even before the Empire of Evil era, um, Anton was their drummer, and Jeff Mantis was the stage manager for an event called Classic Rock Legends, which was held at what was the O2 Academy in Newcastle. And I basically just went up to Jeff and up to Mantis, sorry, and just kind of said, if ever you need a drummer, then hit me up. I'll do whatever's needed to be able to do that. And nothing really came about it. But then the next event, the same event, but the year after, um, Jeff basically came up to me and said, "Look, we might need you for an upcoming tour. Would you be up for it?" And that's kind of how it happened. And then I got a message from Tony, just saying, would you be up for an American tour? Of course, I said yes, and then I did the American tour, and then I was kind of officially in Empire of Evil. Um, and then, uh, Venom Inc. basically started. They had Abaddon, as you know, and things didn't work out with Abaddon. Um, I don't know how much I can say about the next part, but basically, Tony and Jeff approached me this time, and it was at Lord of the Lands, where Asprey played a festival, Lord of the Lands in Scotland, and just said we might need you for some shows for Venom Inc. Am I allowed to say this? Are we okay to say this? Yes.
Yes, of course. You should be honest.
Okay.
Honesty is the key.
Cool. Okay, yeah. So back then, because it was quite near the time of the departure of Empire of Evil, um, basically Nuclear Blast didn't give it the green light then. But I think as time went on, um, they recruited Jeremy, and then later on, basically, I think I've got the green light to be the drummer in Venom Inc. So Tony messaged me again and just said, "Look, are you going to do it this time?" So that was kind of it. It was like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, of course I do. It feels natural to me to actually be part of this. Not just because of the Empire of Evil thing, but it was just when I was on stage with Mantis and Tony, the Demolition Man. It just felt like there was something special there. There was definitely a connection there musically and as people. And even after Empire of Evil, we've all became friends and all became close. And uh, Tony's had me doing some projects. One that was for Steve Grimmett that didn't kind of happen as such, but there was the opportunity to do that. And the Sabatonero tribute album to Black Sabbath. And another thing that's coming out, I'll keep you in mind for it. But yeah, so we've always met up with each other. We've always kept in touch. We've always spoke to each other. There's it just kind of naturally came together, and it was bound to happen at some point.
Well, doing some research on you, I was listening to Sin. Help me out with it. Sintesa. And I this is the first time I heard of it as of yesterday. Tony sent me the link, and you did. And I was listening to the music, and then I was listening to your other band this morning, and you floored me doing the symphonic. I mean, I was like, it really goes to show your skill as a drummer. And I
Thank
mean,
you.
honestly, Tony, no disrespect, and I mean this. I mean, he's a way better drummer than Jeremy. There's no comparison.
I think it's, I think there was always something special about Mark. I mean, Anton, who formed the Empire of Evil with us, was of course Conrad's brother, Kronos's brother, and
Yeah,
I always loved his love for music, and he's a great guitarist as well. And I love the fact that he drummed. It was a natural family thing because he'd been in Venom. He did Metal Black and the Hell album, and so it kind of felt keeping it in. But it was the personalities. People, bands either work on a social level or they don't, and you can make it work sometimes, but sometimes it's impossible. But it works on trust and all of that, and of course the whole Venom history is all about mistrust and all of fighting all the time. And I just thought, if we do this, I didn't want to be stuck in that where we're constantly arguing, constantly fighting, constantly trying to make it work. It should be
that
fun.
toxic atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's playing music for fans who want to hear the music. That's fun. That's what it should be. It should be great fun. Of course, it's a hard job sometimes, and of course, you don't get much sleep or food when you're traveling, and it can be difficult on your family or your partners or work. But when you commit to it, it's a full commitment, and every aspect of it is about fans and meeting them and being with them. And I just thought, it's a hard enough job to do, traveling the world, constantly sacrificing. And you want to have some kind of harmony between yourselves. And if that harmony is not there, it's a nightmare. And so we looked like there was going to be some disharmony. And I just said, I'm too old for this. If we're going to do it, it needs to be fun to do. Then Jeff sent me a video through. He'd videoed Jackson playing at this show in Newcastle and said, I've got my eye on this guy. What do you think? And the minute I watched him, I was like, he's the one, that guy. Because I said, you could tell there's incredible drummers, there's incredible guitarists. But, the difference between a guitarist who can play an Ionian scale to make your nose bleed and your eyes water at 50,000 miles an hour is amazing. But you can sit and watch Gary Moore on that lemon drop play one note, which makes you shit your pants and cry at the same time. It's like, so it's not necessarily about the technicality. It's about the feeling. If you feel the music, and Jackson just feels it. It's all so natural. He's so natural and so skilled at that naturality that it was like a foregone conclusion. That's what we need. We need someone who just loves to play, and Jackson loves to play, and that you've got to have a great love for it. Abaddon, was such a great character and so funny and good to hang around with. But the one thing he hated doing was playing the drums, and that's the thing he struggled with. Could he do it? Of course he could do it, but he didn't have faith in himself, so he didn't like doing it. And that was difficult because I'm not there. I don't mind the drinking and having fun and having a laugh, but we're on tour to go on stage and play shows. That's the bit we're there for. That's the job. So if the only thing you don't like or you're not particularly good at is that 1 hour or 2 hours a night playing a show, it defeats the whole object. So you need people who absolutely love it and love to play. Like Jeff, when he plays, he goes to somewhere else. He's like 16. You see the pleasure on him, and in his instrument and his sound is part of his character. And I love that. And that's very true of Jackson. I think, there was a moment Abaddon looked like he was going to fold up, and that's when we saw Jackson at Lord of the Lands, and that's why the question was brought to Jackson, because he was on natural progression, and it didn't happen. He was doing his thing with Acid Rain and Control and his Theta and a million other things people were after him for, and then Jeremy was a natural progression. He was doing our sound. Chuck Billy said, that Jeremy plays drums, which I didn't. I gave him the album at the time, which was Ave. We were on tour, and just said, could you play any of this or learn any of this quickly? And he came back and went, yep. So 2 days later, I took him into a rehearsal room in Chicago, I think it was, for an hour, and he played the whole set. And it was like, okay, that's it. That's good enough. And Jeremy plays with such power and such passion that I just, that's what you need, and you might not be the best or you might be the best, but if you haven't got the heart, it just doesn't work. And Jeremy was full of heart. He's full of genuine heart for music. He loves it. He can't not be doing music. He does a million projects because he just can't sit still. It's in him and he wants to get it out. And that paid dividends, and it was great. But the natural, when we went to Nuclear Blast initially, I suggested that I might call Jackson back in, and they didn't want it to be Empire of Evil. They wanted it to be completely different. So that's why we were Venom Inc, and that's why we went that route. But I think now we're 2 albums in. We got the third one waiting, and we've done so many shows that I think now it's just right time. Jackson. Even when Jackson went from us, it wasn't because we didn't love him or like him, and it wasn't because he couldn't play it or he wasn't into it. I saw that Jackson was ready to go to the next step, which is what he wanted to do, and we couldn't do that for him. We platformed him. We gave the world Jackson, and I used to say to him, don't worry about trying to get noticed. The fact that you play the way you play, sitting on this stage, sitting behind that kit, that is enough, trust me. And of course it was enough, because his door was being banged on all the time. There's nobody who didn't notice him and didn't want to get a piece of him. And so to see his career go through all these amazing things, which to him may not feel like they're just part of the job, but they were amazing things and amazing shows. And I saw him as much as I could, and the Bloodstock, and when he played in London or wherever, and supported him, and I just saw him flourishing. And now it just feels like that we're at this crossroads, if you like, and it was the right time to just say, listen, do you want to do this now? Jeremy's parted, and there's a million drummers out there. Lots of people were auditioning. I got some amazing videos, amazing playthroughs. There's some incredible drummers, but Jackson was always in my head and I could not shake it out. And I thought, if I could get Jackson, that would be a perfect world for me. And so to hear you observing him and coming up with those things, it's perfect. It's perfect, because that's what I think.
Honestly, Jackson and Tony, you blew my mind when I heard the 2 different styles. And then if you think about Venom, even with the other name, it's still Venom. So, it's just like, wow, this dude's amazing. He really is. And, I hear drummers all the time, and I think Tony can agree with this. In music, you know what you can do and what you can't do. You, my friend, you got such skills that it's like there's some drummers that could go to that next level, and you, my friend, you have them skills. And Tony will agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I totally agree. But before I let Jackson talk, I just want to say that there was an opportunity with Marc where we decided to do. We had 2 songs, a song called Demone or Demon, and a song called Taking It, which Jeff had composed, and we worked on, and we wanted to put them out as a single, which we did as a 7-inch single. But we thought, let's put something around them. Should we write some more songs? And then I thought, what I'd like to do from my period of Venom, I'd like to pick the songs that I wrote that never quite sounded the way they had in my head when we did them, when we recorded them. Maybe it was from production or maybe it was from performance, but they never quite seemed to get there. And so we had an opportunity to do that. So I pulled out a load of songs. We relearned them, if you like. Jackson went and listened to them. He took them into a studio, basically played them one by one in one take, like bang, 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 bang. Went and just did a couple of things, but it was amazing. That album was crucified under Empire of Evil. And those songs can be found on, Wastelands and Temples of Ice and Primeval. And I kind of redid them, not reimagining them, not trying to change them, just playing them the way I had heard them when I wrote them in my head. And
you know what's funny, and this is true, and this is true, Tony. A lot of people that are not musicians, they don't know what we go through trying to create a song and how we restructure it and go back to it, and it's still this much that we know we can change.
Yeah. And it's very rare you're totally happy with something the first time. You even a year later, 2 years later, you'll still hear that song and think, "Oh, I should have done this there, or I should have done that there."
But let me ask you. I'm going to ask you this: on Venom Inc. Black, there's only black on the whole album. What do you think you could have done a little bit different if you can record any of the songs that you think were lacking that presence?
I think I don't think I'd change. Maybe I'd add guitars, extra guitars. Jeff did the production and he stripped the guitars right down, which we didn't. We had much richer guitars on Arve, which he produced also, and we took it right back on that, made it as raw as we could. But I think performance-wise, I love the performances. I think the songs, work for me. That lyrically, the themes are all there. So I probably would only be production. I'd probably add some richness on the guitars and stuff, a bit like we had on Arve. But as an album, I think it stands out there. What will be very exciting is to hear Jackson playing them with us live, because
I was gonna say, Jackson. I mean, you're learning the songs right now. I mean, what are you gonna play them to the T, or are you gonna add a little bit of you?
Bit of both. I think it's the balance that's really important. I think when fans have heard songs a particular way, they want to hear similarities that they can relate to as fans of their music. So. But then again, it's like I'm not that person who's playing on that album. You know what I mean? So I think it's about balance. That's kind of what I like to do. I think it's really important to do, because for me, if I was, like, I don't know, saying Metallica or something like that, and Lars wasn't playing, it's like you want to hear those signature drum fills and parts that are really catchy, that that you feel that the fans kind of catch on to. I think that's really important. I think it's a vital thing, really. You want to have that relevance to the band, but you also that you're not that person who is on that record. So you are you. You can't force yourself to play exactly like this other person. It's like I'm not Jeremy, I'm not Abaddon, but I can play the songs. Of course I can. I wouldn't have been offered the job if I couldn't play the songs.
Okay,
but I think it's yeah. Go on, sorry.
Well, okay. This. Your drum set that you bring in to Venom, or you take on tour with you, to have your signature style.
Could you repeat that question again? I don't know if it was your mic that went off a little bit.
Okay. When you go, when you're at your home or you go in the studio, you have a unique signature sound on your drum set where anyone can hear it on any recording. They'll find, oh, that is Marc. You know what I'm talking about, Tony. It's just
Yeah.
drummers have a unique pattern, a certain thing that they like to do quite a bit. What is your signature sound that you like to mess with in every album? With doesn't matter what group, you always bring it with you because it makes you at ease. It's home.
Yeah, I guess, yeah,
Okay.
that's the question, isn't it, Mark? It's like, what is it that makes you when you play it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's being heavily influenced by the old school drummers, but also a fan of, you know, some of the modern metal bands and whatnot, you know. But for me, it's like as a musician, it's like you don't want to kind of be stuck in a box. You want to venture out to learning different styles. And me being a drum teacher as well, you know, I have to learn as many styles as possible. And music is music, you know, it's not like I wouldn't just say, I mean, yes, metal and rock are my main go-to genre of music, but I love music overall, you know, so I can listen to anything. But when it comes to my style of drumming, I would say, you know, being heavily influenced by, I mean, Bill Ward from Black Sabbath was my biggest influence. That was what made me want to play the drums in the first place, hearing Bill Ward play Center of the Universe. I mean, his drumming on that is just absolutely
Oh, it's
incredible.
phenomenal.
No one has ever played it like Bill Ward, you know. And then hearing the likes of you know, John Bonham and Ginger Baker, big influence, you know, the whole kind of tribal style of his playing. And then modern drummers like Martin Lopez, Dave Lombardo, uh, Mario Duplantier from Gojira. Oh, yeah, I mean, the Garth Samuelson
On
from
and on,
Megadeth
innit?
as well is a huge influence of mine, you know, like hearing his drumming on Peace Sells Blues buying just floored me. And then hearing his drumming on Fatal Opera for the band he was in after Megadeth is just even more incredible, you know. So it's kind of like the element of groove and kind of the modern style, like with metal as well, you know. It's kind of combining the two. I think groove is something that is kind of I wouldn't say unheard of nowadays, but in metal, it's there for some players, but I think for a lot of drummers nowadays, it just feels to me like it's very much like how fast can you play, you know? And you know, I think of music as like an audio wave. You know, you either have it straight or you have it in waves, and groove
Yeah.
is in waves. You know, so when I hear uh, quite a few modern bands nowadays, I just feel like it's lacking that signature style that old school drummers used to have. So I think when you say that, you know, you feel like I've got a signature sort of style of playing. I mean, I'm really happy about that because that's one of the things I really wanted to achieve as a musician is to kind of be one of those people who's like, that's the guy I'm hearing there. That's who that is,
Yeah.
you know, because you can't.
Yeah, no,
Hard
like
to pick it out.
nobody could not know when it was Cozy Powell or John Bonham or Bill Ward,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and that's the identity in it. And I think the thing is, I think that's what Mark hit on something. Two things I was going to say was in regard to this is that Mark can play a very modern style with an old school head. He plays with feeling regardless of what it is, and that's rare. That is rare. The standout drummers, you feel them playing. It's not just technical. It's something else. It's like their personalities out there, and that's when it makes it really special to play with. And you know, going back to Crucify, so Mark's let the stuff. They're all songs. We're going to record them. He has his parts, and his question to me was, "How do you want me to approach it?" And obviously, firstly, I say, imagine if Bill Ward and Dave Lombardo were one person with all those limbs. Just think like that. You know, doing that to play as technically efficient and as exciting as Dave Lombardo, and as loose and as free as Bill Ward, and put it together and just. But I said, ultimately, I can't if I try and direct how you perform it, you're not going to be there. I'm going to lose who you are. And the whole point of having you do it is you, the person, the personality, how you approach it, how you play it. So I said, there's no rule. You play whatever you feel, however you want to, and that's what we're going to end up with. And that's what he did. And that album, and I've done lots of recordings in 40 odd years, that album is still my favorite thing I've ever done, that album. And it's predominantly because of Marc and people. Yes, guitar riffs, and yes, vocalists, and yes, all of that. But a drummer, I have learned in all my time, particularly in this genre of music, a drummer can make you good or bad. A drummer can. And most people don't think that. It's just like a timepiece. It's like, it is if that's all you want it for. But if you really have a real drummer, it changes everything. It changes everything.
Let me ask you this, Jackson. When you approached Venom Inc's earlier music, what did you do differently? Like when you did like the old songs, let's say like Blacking is the Priest or Primeval.
I just felt it. I mean, that's kind of what it is, you know. I just felt. I don't know. I just have this. I just have this thing where if I hear, you know, like the like I say, the relevance to what Abaddon played would still live in what people want to hear for certain points of the song. So it's just the balance, but most of all, it's a feel thing. It's very much being in that moment, and you know, there's so many times where I've gone to the studio and I'll play something different then to what I would play when I'm going through the songs myself. I don't know why, it just happens. And I think it's because you're in the moment. Maybe you hear a lot more than what you do when you're going through the song. I don't know what it is, but it is essentially a feel thing. You know, it's like, yes, I learn the songs, I learn the structure of the songs, and I listen to not just what's going on guitarist wise, bass wise, or anything like that. It's everything, you know, and I think that's really important. You know, I like to follow the vocals, I like to follow the guitars. So like if there's like lead parts that I want to follow, the bass obviously, you know, because bass and drums are, you know, born to be like that. So, you know, it's yeah, it's just hearing everything and just going by feel. That is it. I can't really say, you know, like how else I would approach it because that is it. It's just listening to the music, absorbing it, making sure that I know everything that's going on, listening out for little things that I could kind of join with, like, you know, little lead lines on the guitar, little lead lines on the bass, or anything like that, you know. Vocally, I think it's really important to follow certain parts as well, you know. So that's kind of it. It's a feel thing. But
I think that, and I think myself, that's what makes it so exciting because, you know, because I play bass and vocal, you know, to be able to feel that happening and to know that I don't need to think about it because I'm going to go wherever he's going. And he's popping up every now and then to give accents here and space there and support this bit for the solo or what, and come back down so that we're syncopated together. And, you know, it makes the whole thing alive. Every night it's different and it all feels organic and it feels like, wow. And we might play this slightly alternate and find it again. And it's almost like, you know, when you see a painter, you see a painting. I always wonder, is the painter thinking and committing the work to a canvas, or is it already on the canvas and he's just unveiling it piece by piece? And it's almost like that's how I like Mark's just said about the feeling and the spontaneity. All of a sudden something just happens and you think that I didn't plan that, but it told me it wanted to do that. It's how I approach, you know, work in the studio. It's almost as if everything is already out there in the universe, and it's waiting to come to me. And given the right circumstances, it just is there. And so am I in control of it, or is it just there anyway? And when it wants to say something, it comes in, hands itself to you, and you just stay it. And so is that kind of going beyond just the technicality of a 4/4. What else can happen? You know, I don't know. What else can I hear? What else feels that it wants to happen? You know, and it's a great way of playing music, regardless of the style. But to do it this way, it's perfect. I think it's absolutely perfect, you know, and very exciting to do. And that's what keeps you doing it, you know, and I think that's the important thing as well. You know, you have to love what you do, or it just becomes, you might as well work in a factory boxing fish, you know, if you just want a job, you know, but you've got to love it.
From the band called Slave Page, and you're watching Pure Metal. That's motherfuckers!
Max Cavalera here, man. Sending you good metal vibes. Good luck with your podcast. Good company. Keep it metal. Keep supporting the metal world, the whole universe of metal.
This is Sasha.
And Andre
from Major Moments.
You're watching Pure Metal of Gods on YouTube.
Rock on.
Hello, my name is Tommi Manninen and this is Sketch Open! And you are listening and watching Pure Metal of Gods magazine on YouTube. Let's rock!
Hi guys, this is Demon's Prophecy, and you're listening to your Pure Metal of Gods on Fuck yeah!
This is Matt Miller,
And this is Jordan Kelso.
and you're watching Pure Metal of the Gods magazine on YouTube.
Hey, this is Jeff Becerra for that. And you're watching Pure Metal of the Gods. Stay blessed, stay possessed.